if that happens, I kind of feel like that would be giving them a way out.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even possible, but I did see somebody that is pretty intelligente, intelligent, like say, well, there's still like an opportunity for them to come to the bargaining table, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because it seemed like
But then that makes it the fact that this was all just about money, not necessarily like making a change, bringing a change.
Yeah, I actually just saw the breakdown of how they calculated the damages, and it was really interesting. This isn't like some punitive damage. This is $9,000 average across the 1.5 million transactions or something like that. I think that was but it was $9,000 per transaction, and that's how they came up with it. That's how they calculated the damages.
So it was like a actual math.
It was math. There's no
Wow.
punitive. It was just, yeah. Which I thought was really interesting. And the reason that was interesting is the judge actually can't reduce the amount of the judgment when it comes to reasonable judgment. The only thing that they could potentially reduce is punitive damages.
Right.
Those haven't even been awarded. And the treble damages seem like they're automatic. So it's going to go from the 1.5 to the whatever, or the 1.5, something like that.
Wow.
Automatically, like that's not like even an option to not have it happen because of the way the antitrust laws are written.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if that money goes back to customers or does that just go to the state. I have no clue.
Well,
But
according
we gotta
to
remember, this is just one state.
Yep. According to many real estate agents that I saw across TikTok this past week, which I had a blast. I was all immersed in the reaction, and I heard some good takes. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of bitching and moaning about, oh, if we care about the people and saving money so much, how come the attorney is taking 40%?
That's the what about? That's the what about.
Yep.
But what about?
So here's the thing. Here's what we're doing today. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 videos from TikTok that I saved, and we are going to watch it, and we are going to react to it. Sound fun?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna try to do my best to get the person's name, and there were some legitimate takes that I really appreciated. So this guy, well, let's just go ahead and watch it first.
Realtors today already work for less than before. The public doesn't understand it, but I have a super simple fix. Any referral fees paid to any of these technology companies that make it super easy for you, that are free, need to be on the closing disclosure. So if I am paying Zillow a 40% referral fee for your information to help you buy a house, I don't want to see me getting 100% of the commission. I want Zillow to get 40, and I want it to say paid to Zillow Incorporated, and then you can see what I actually make on the commission statement.
Okay, so are we gonna do this? Like, are we gonna watch the whole thing and then react to it, or
I think
do we?
so. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
There might be some moments where I've got to jump in.
Okay,
but so
just jump
far,
in.
I'm
Okay,
like, yeah.
got it.
Same with Dave Ramsey, same with Homelight, same with anyone that sells your information and gets paid on the back end from real estate commissions. Because when you do that math and you say you're not worth 2.5%, I'll pay you 1 to 1.5%. If you see that statement of what Zillow charged, that's exactly what you're paying agents. It's also exactly why if you say, I want you to work for cheaper, most agents, when they actually run the numbers, could say, okay, just reach out to me directly. Instead of going through those companies, I'll make the same exact amount of money and you'll save that difference. But again, these companies are so big and do so much money with marketing to bring you as traffic in that you guys just can't see it. And you say, look, with technology, your jobs become easier. Again, the easiest fix for all this is put those companies getting referral fees on the closing statement, the one you have to sign. Then you guys will start thinking twice about using those free platforms to be able to get better deals with your agent, and the agent's doing the same amount of work for the same amount of money. The games played behind the scenes of real estate are disgusting. I've fought them for years. And finally, we're all talking about it. And hopefully, I know we had a really good conversation, so this is nothing against you. Hopefully, you guys can start to see what I'm trying to tell you. And don't get me started on flat fees. Those companies get listings to then again generate buyer leads to sell to their agents. They have no incentive to actually sell. They want to list as many as possible to generate these leads. They actually prefer your listing to expire in 6 months, but you think they're saving you money. They're literally playing the game within the game of selling buyer agent leads again. And a lot of them to their own companies. Brokerages do this to their own agents. Exactly like Zillow does it. They take your listings and then sell the leads to other agents that are willing to pay for it. It's crazy stuff, but that's what I'm here for. Like and follow for more transparency in real estate. No hate, just real estate. Real.
Okay, this this guy speaks some truth, right? MJW Homes on TikTok.
Yeah, sure. Some
What is our initial reaction here?
First off, came off the top rope at Dave Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
Alienate some people, but I appreciate your gangster because me and Dave are not the tightest.
By the way, I have several video from this gentleman because he's giving me like a mixed feeling. Like he's saying some things that I'm totally with you, right?
Yeah.
But then some things he said, I'm just like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, like the flat fee thing, I'll say one thing about it. He's dead wrong. Maybe there are some companies who do it that way, but like that in general is not how flat fee brokerages work.
Right.
There's a lot of business models that run into that.
I used to try to run one.
Yeah, like there's just a lot of business models that can run and be successful out of there. Like,
right.
So you're painting with a real broad brush. That would be me like saying all realtors are skeezy. That's not true. Just some of them. But it's the same broad brush. Like that. That doesn't make any sense. Okay.
Correct.
I'm actually fine. You want to put Zillow on the disclosure? Whatever.
I was kind of. Yep. Like, I was cool with that.
And you could, by the way. I mean, Zillow wouldn't like it, but like it wouldn't like it doesn't change anything. In fact, your accountant at the end of the year is going to appreciate you a lot more because dealing with commissions can get actually pretty confusing from the brokerage standpoint because you've got money coming in and it actually shows is coming in under your name, and then you pay your brokerage and then you pay out any commission fee, and you never realize any of that income. But if you're just working with a real basic kind of tax person as opposed to somebody who's used to doing real estate commissions, it can get a little dicey. I've seen a lot of agents go through that. So sure. I think the main thing, there are a couple other things that like if I watch back through, I go, ugh. But I think the biggest thing that he's got wrong is his perspective on what consumers actually give a shit about. And you know what? It's not because you're talking about 40% or 35% or 30% to Zillow. Okay. Your check's still $12,000, my guy. And your customers you're not gonna make them feel bad. And you taking that stance, it's a weird look. It would be better for you to explain to your customers the costs that go into your business. If you're a real estate agent that runs it like a business and you do lead gen through paid means or through referral means, you should be able to talk through that your business has costs.
Right.
And by the way, real estate agents are not making less than ever before. That is a wildly inaccurate statement. I mean, that is just
yeah.
The whole thing was 3% became the standard fee. Okay, this is what the whole talk about is. So let's just take 3% of a house price in the 60s compared to the median average household income in the 60s.
Right.
The house price and the median income have not stayed lockstep. Here's house prices. Here's the average value. Average income's going up with inflation. Here's house prices skyrocketing. They've departed aggressively. Second, it has gotten so much easier to be a real estate agent. The only reason it's not really a lot easier is because there's so much competition.
Right.
That's the real reason it still feels tough, because you're not just competing with Zillow, you're competing with your customer's best friend's auntie's cousin. Like, there's a lot of competition going into it, but you are not making less money because you're paying Zillow to do your marketing for you. Get out. So name another business that you can start for like $1,500 and a little bit of effort where you expect to get 60% margins on, 70% margins on. Are you kidding me?
Bam.
Sorry. All right. I mean, like, so yeah. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, yeah, you make a good point though. Like, put Zillow on the commission form. Whatever.
Again,
I don't think it means anything to anybody. Yeah,
he makes good points, and but like that whole thing about Zillow, right? So you're basically saying like, because you and I guess it's not just Zillow. Like, I know a lot of real estate agents they won't outright say it, but does that listing appointment and the commission discussion become a little bit more hostile if you know that it's a referral where you have to pay out 25%? You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe. You know what? The most hostile thing I think he said actually is cut out the people that you're doing business with. That's what he said. And it made it seem like it was okay because it's Zillow.
Right.
Get some morals, bro. Get some ethics. That's not ethical. You don't want to do business with them, don't do business with them.
Right.
But I've seen these people on Zillow, on their premier agent page where it goes, text me at this number on their page. I can't believe Zillow doesn't crack down harder.
Wow.
Because they don't want the lead to come through Zillow's
Right.
service. Because if you call the number that Zillow promotes, it goes through them before it comes to you. And Zillow knows, oh, I got to, like, last thing I'll say, there's a common saying in technology and product, and it's that if you don't understand how a company makes money, you are the product. And a lot of people don't realize that with Zillow. But if you're browsing Zillow and clicking the button, like, you're the product. You're how they monetize.
Right.
Right? Same way Facebook, of which I'm sure we're like hanging out on Facebook right now, right? Like,
and you know my take on this whole Zillow clicking a button on Redfin. Like, I didn't like it from day one, because my point was always, look, if you're about to make one of the largest purchases or sale, or it's one of the largest transactions you'll make in your life, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, right? That should not be done by clicking a button on the internet. I mean, do you not have friends? Do you not have family members that you can ask, who have you used? Like, or do you know, like, something more of a in-person experience type versus hitting a button?
Yeah, here's the steel man to the other side. And I agree with you, I think, for the most part. The steel man to the other side is, though, I know a lot of agents that aren't great. We all do. If I wasn't an agent, or hadn't been an agent in the past, or wasn't in this industry, I don't know that I'd realize they weren't great. And many people use agents thinking that agent was great, even though they don't know that they lost out on a bunch of money because this person did the wrong thing.
They don't know what they don't know.
So there's a great steelman argument on the other side of this is, well, you can read all the reviews, you can read what people say, and it's not just limited to your auntie's cousin's best friend telling you, oh, you should use this person. You can read 100 reviews on, Jason Statham Real Estate in, Kirkland, Washington, and here's what people said. And I'm like an ultimate, like, I never read the 5-star reviews. I don't care about the 1-star reviews. I'm interested in like
somewhere
the 3
in
or
the
4
middle.
stars. I'm very interested in those, and you get a really decent perspective. Which, by the way, Redfin, that's how they built so much trust in their product.
Right.
It was all about reviews. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but back in the day, they might still do this to an extent. But if you got an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10,
oh yeah,
promoter score, you got paid less.
Yep.
If you got a 6, you got paid even less, and it could go from up here to halvesies or even a little bit less, depending on your score. But here, and they did away with this. I know they did away with this, but there was a long period where if somebody didn't give you a review at all, you got paid less.
Oh, wow.
So they wanted you to remind people to do the reviews. And you're like, like sometimes you take the L. You're like, I don't think this person's gonna give me a great review. I'm not gonna
Right.
remind them. Like, I'm not trying
Right.
to get a bad review. But you were definitely encouraged. And so if you look on Redfin, there's always a couple of reviews that are like an 8 or a 7. And you get
Right.
to know a little bit more. And that builds a ton of trust. It was really
Right.
smart on their part. Maybe not great for the agent, but
And I'm not just saying blanketly, work with whoever your parents say or your brother, your sister. I've been advocating for trying to educate the public time after time after time for the last 7 years. Like, you gotta meet with at least 3 agents,
3.
right? At least 3, because don't we have Isn't there a statistics out there something like 70% or more? Like, if you're the first agent to interview, you get hired.
Yeah, on the buy side, it's something
Yeah.
like that. On the sell side, it's not quite that high, but first mover advantage is huge
But
in
it's
real
it's
estate.
but I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, like, take that extra hour or 2, because again, like, it's not just determining if that person knows what they're doing, but it's also like, does that person fit
Yeah.
with me, right?
When I have friends reach out and go, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying. Who do you recommend?" And I do this, Jake, because I used to recommend you as one of the people. I would go, "Where are you looking? Like,
Right.
what's your price point?" And then I would give them 3 names.
Yep.
And I would be like, Lisa Bender is in Snohomish County, and she's amazing, and she knows this area. If you're thinking about Mill Creek, go look at Jay Coe, and here's what he's like, and here's what he's like to work with, and here's what you might love about him, and here's what might rub you. And like, I would just give them play-by-plays. Nobody I ever sent that list to ever talked to more than one person on it.
That's the thing.
It's crazy.
I don't get it. I don't get it. All right. Well, here comes the next one.
Bring it.
And I've already seen these, but it's been a couple days, so let's see if I can.
This guy looks familiar.
Let's see. Let's bring him here.
Maybe I need
and
to do
then-
more TikTok.
Oh, I'm all about that TikTok. All right, here we go.
Into the science videos. Go ahead.
I've had a lot of clients and friends reach out about this recent lawsuit between the National Association of Realtors and various big brokerages like Keller Williams, with whom I work. So I thought I'd break this down for you so it's easier to understand. If you've never purchased real estate in this country, for the last century, it's been this way. A seller goes to a broker like me and says, I want to list my home. And I say, okay, I'm going to charge you a commission. Let's just say 6%. That 6% is then split between the buyer broker and the seller broker. So that's how it's worked. When I do buyer consultations, preparing buyers to get ready for the process, I always tell them, you're not going to pay me. The seller is going to pay me when and if we find something that you like. Some brokers out there have been telling buyers that you don't have to pay me at all. My services are free, which is not true. You're just paid by the seller. Now, a bunch of sellers got together and decided this was not fair. This was a fixed system because the National Association of Realtors said that if you're going to list on a multiple listing service, which is where we all list all of our properties, and there are multiple listing services all over the country, then you have to offer that co-op compensation. You have to, as the seller and the seller's broker, pay the buyer's broker for bringing that buyer to the table and doing your job. They thought this was in violation of antitrust. They think it inflates the property's values because they have to cover those commissions. But the net result of this is going to be that if you don't have to pay a buyer co-op commission, then the buyer may have to have a conversation with their broker in the very beginning that goes like this. So I want you to know I'm not going to work for free. I'm going to get 2.5%, 3% of the purchase price as my commission. That may be paid by the seller, and if so, then you owe me nothing. However, if the seller chooses not to pay that commission, you will owe me that money. In addition to your down payment, which can be 20% of the purchase price if you want to avoid PMI, and closing costs, which can be 2 to 3% of the purchase price. And this is going to negatively impact first-time home buyers hardest because those are the folks with the least amount of money. I've heard it said that people are going to kind of switch to the iBuyer thing where I'm going to represent myself. What I can tell you, I've been doing this over 11 years, buyers feel like they are the most vulnerable people in the transaction. The seller has experience doing this already. They often have more money as well because when you buy a home, as we've seen, prices rise, and that rise in price, you get that back as like tax-free cash. So you have more money as a seller, generally speaking, than your buyer does. So the buyer always feels like they're in a bit of a, especially in the most recent markets where there's been tremendous competition, they're the most vulnerable. So I don't see buyers suddenly just deciding that they aren't going to get advice on putting tens of thousands of dollars down on something, on a purchase. You want to make sure you're buying something that's going to appreciate over time, that is solid in its construction, that is laid out in a way that a marketing person would want to sell down the road. Because if your broker comes to you after you've purchased something and says, this is going to be really hard to sell at a price higher than what you bought it at, you have no recourse. Like, your loss in investment there, you don't get to write that off. That's just a loss. So I think most buyers are going to feel that they don't want to be out there competing with the sellers and the seller's broker without representation. It's just going to raise the amount of money you have to have in order to buy a home, which in this environment isn't helpful and doesn't protect the buyer.
Okay. What do we got?
What are your thoughts on that?
For all the rest of the video that is to come, the thing that I get hung up is every agent is like, oh, my 2.5% or 3% is gonna have to be paid by the buyer. I'm not hung up on paid by the buyer. I'm hung up on, why does everybody believe that they deserve 2.5% and 3%? You know?
Listen, yeah, like, I think it is so telling to me, and I'm not hating on. What was this guy's name?
I didn't catch it. I couldn't read it.
No worries. I'm not hating on him. It is just so funny that the whole point of this lawsuit was around collusion of price fixing, and it being anti-competitive and requiring people to do this, or you get locked out of. Like, they literally call it a cartel. And then he's like, let's just say 5 or 6%, like, you know, or 2.5 to 3%.
Yep.
I'm gonna make 2.5 to 3%. Which, by the way, I think just off the bat makes me go 2.5 to 3%. You were expecting that before. You were expecting that before. And so if it was a 2% house, what would you have done in that case?
Yep.
You know, I don't know. I think his point that buyers need people there to answer questions is true. I think they need people to be able to, like, lay out, like, the facts of the market and lay out the process and ask questions of. I think a lot of agents honestly go too far in their representation, and they just start, like, kind of making decisions for the buyer.
They make themselves to be more important in the process than it really should be.
Maybe for sure. Like, and not always. I just always think the best buyers agents are the ones that go, "Hey, listen, here's what we got. Here's what I know about the market. Here's what I found out about this house and the seller.
Yep.
Here's a couple of options. And, you know, here's the probable outcome of this option. Here's the probable outcome of this option.
Right.
Where are you at?
Right.
And what questions do you have?" And that's a really important piece to being a buyer's agent. Like, that's a hugely important piece.
Not to mention, we've been doing this for almost a century.
Yeah.
Really? A century?
Oh, yeah. It was funny to me. He goes, "I've been at this over 11 years. I would have definitely gone with, I've been doing this for over a decade."
Right.
I mean, that's what I would have said. Let's see. Here's the thing. I don't think buyers are going to pony up this money. I think buyers are going to work it into the loan. I think they're going to go back. Like, in the case of a seller not offering a cooperating commission, when they make the offer, yes, it's a little bit more complex, but I think they're just going to go, "Hey, we've agreed to pay our buyer's agent 2%. Sorry, agents, that's probably what's going to happen. 1.5%. We've agreed to pay our buyer's agent $5,000, whatever it is. So we're going to make a $265,000 offer net, and our offer is going to show us $275,000, and we are willing to waive this part of the appraisal or this much." And I think the loans are going to absorb that. My one concern about this is I do think very quickly we will see house prices actually take this 3% jump. like it's gonna absorb it, and I don't think house prices are like they're not gonna go down by 3%. People are just gonna get the pocket that 3%. The sellers. So this is more beneficial to sellers. I absolutely do think that. I mean, it's the same thing that happened when, and good or bad, this is good that this probably happened in some ways, but back in the day when we allowed married couples to start having both spouses on the loan. A single woman could get a loan on her own.
Right.
But a married woman, her income didn't count. Now that's crazy, right? Because that's just like telling a woman your place is not at work. You're eventually going to stay home.
Right.
But the outcome of that was housing prices doubled over the next 10 years because all of a sudden you have two incomes, which now forces many people in bigger cities to be dual income houses no matter what.
Right.
It's not to say we didn't do the right thing, but it is to say there are outcomes. And I think the outcome of this is doing the right thing and allowing the market to set the buyer's agent fee. But it is going to make it a little bit more expensive to buy real estate.
And
it's going to be wrapped up in the loan, though. There's no
the other argument I hear a lot is, oh, it's already built into the price. Like,
yeah,
the 6% commission is built into the price. I don't know about you, bro, but I never suggested suggested list price, considering that they're paying 6% commission.
No.
I just never did that.
No, I can understand how people say it. And it's the same thing that this guy said. He made a good point. He's like, a lot of people say, oh, buyer's agents are free. I think that's a really good call out. They are not.
Correct.
Right? They are not. You're being paid by the seller. And if you feel like that's a little odd, that's the whole point of this conversation.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But just to be fair, buyers agents themselves sort of put them in that place as well, and this is that bottom 80% that I always talk about, right? Because they go to the buyers and be like, well, you're not paying me anything, right? Like they almost make it sound like you have no value to them.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like, honestly, real estate has done a really great job, good or bad, training people to overcome objections. I am so unsure of why brokerages are uncomfortable training their agents to say, I am worth money. My time and efforts and knowledge have value. Like, let's figure out what my compensation is. Like, we should just teach them to do that as opposed to teaching them how to get 3% every single time.
I just have a flashback on that Tom Ferry show you watched this week.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah. Don't do it like that. I mean, sir, I would love the buyer's agent a drink.
Oh my god.
Stories. But it's a little much. And I was just thinking about this as I was talking, so this is off the dome. It could be crazy. Is it not a little bit weird that a brand new agent expects the same amount as somebody who's done it a decade? Is it not a little bit weird that the person who has hundreds of deals under their belt, regardless of how long they've been doing it, expects the same amount of income as somebody who's done 20 deals in their
Do you know why?
The longer you think about photography, think about design, think about being a lawyer, think about any professional setting. The longer you do something, the more value you have, the more you can charge. Which, by the way, some listing agents absolutely take advantage of this. I've seen some luxury agents charge premiums above what we'd think.
Oh, I've seen listing agents charge 7%.
Yeah, it's actually kind of common in the Midwest.
Oh.
Like a 3.5. So it'll be like 3% up to 100,000, and then 3.5 on everything above 100,000. There's some interesting.
Oh, let me ask you this. So let's say I list it and I got 6%.
Yeah.
But then I kept 4, and then I gave the buyer's agent 2. Why is that wrong?
Yeah, I don't. I don't know.
But we see over and over and over buyer's agents going like, "Oh, this is so messed up."
Yeah.
Why is that messed up?
So here's the thing. I'll give one reason I think it's a little messed up.
Okay.
The whole idea of a cooperating commission is because the buyer's agent is supposed to bring clients.
Yep.
And so they're getting paid for bringing the client by. Seems like a little bit of a misalignment.
But then
Not gonna lie.
but then especially these day and age, are they the one bringing the buyers, or are the buyers bringing the listing to the agents?
Yeah, I hear you. But my call out here is that the idea was to attract more buyers agent attention.
Yes.
And this is why, like on the Northwest MLS listing form, it's very clear, 6% or 5% or whatever you decide it's going to be,
And then
this
what
is how
goes
much
to the
I
buyer.
offer
Yep.
the buyer's agent.
Yep.
And you should be looking askew if somebody's charging you that 6%, 6.5%, and only offering the buyer's agent 1.5%. You got to go, hey, God, what's going on?
Right.
What's up, man?
Dude, by the way, shout out to Northwest MLS because we were ahead of this like by 2.5 years.
Buyer's
right?
agency agreements, baby. Let's go.
100%.
By the way, so wise. Protects you as an agent, protects your buyer, allows you to sit down and go, here's our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
In the context of this real estate transaction. We might be friends, but here's the business relationship. Here's
Right.
what you can expect from me. Here's what I'm going to provide for you. Here's where my compensation is coming from. Here's my minimum compensation. And if that's not there, you can either make that up out of pocket or you can choose to goose the loan a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that usually is okay. Lay it all out.
Right.
And it just, I don't know, I always love those conversations because it just let everybody know where we stand. We're not fucking about. We're getting shit done.
I'm with ya.
Yeah, anyways,
I'm
let's
with
watch
ya.
the next one. Sorry.
All right, here comes the next one. So MJW Holmes, this guy's back. I think this is the first video that I watched him do.
Okay.
And actually it got me to click the follow button. And by the way, regardless of what your take is, I just want to make it very clear. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, right? We're not sitting here judging. We're just taking whatever they're saying and kind of laying our opinion on top of it. But the fact of the matter is, these agents out here making these types of content, regardless of accuracy or ludicrous level or whatever it is, kudos to you, because chances are you guys are the ones that are going to survive, right?
100%.
Okay,
Agreed.
here we go.
So this is Mike. He sued the National Association of Realtors and won, and says he's got about $100 billion in damages he's going after again. Said the case is super easy, he's going to win, blah, blah, blah. But I want you to pay attention to this question right here. You ready?
Can you answer this question for me?
Yes.
Why are the commissions in the United States 2 to 3 times higher than the rest of the industrial?
Listen,
All right, so she doesn't really answer that question, but I'm going to. He says real estate commissions in America are 2 to 3 times more than the rest of the world. Well, it's pretty simple. The buyer's agent commission isn't paid by the seller in the rest of the world. And that's what we're fighting over. But here's the super important part that everyone's missing, including him, unless he's just doing it for money, which maybe he is. And that is, when I bought my first house, I used a 100% financing USDA loan with a fixed interest rate. Fun fact, they don't have those around the rest of the world either. But let's stay on topic. You know about the American dream? Because they don't have an Australian dream, or an English dream, or a Russian dream of home ownership. Thought I'd slide that in there. But I wouldn't have been able to afford that house, where I had the seller pay my closing costs, it was 100% financing. If I had to pay my buyer's agent, I wouldn't be able to afford it. I didn't have the money. I had the credit, I was approved, but I didn't have the money for that buyer's agent. And maybe I could have negotiated it, maybe I could have figured it out, things might have been tighter, maybe I don't buy that house. Now when I went to go sell that house, I paid that buyer's agent. I passed on the benefit. And the reason I was able to pass on the benefit is because as a homeowner, I gained equity. And if I reap the benefit of the buyer's agent being included in the purchase price, and I passed it on, I didn't lose any money. And everyone's just missing that part. They're just zooming right in and saying, yeah, why am I paying this out of my equity that I got when I didn't have to pay that buyer's agent? I reaped the benefit of that, but I don't want to give that, I don't want to pay it forward. Now, the inner workings of all of it and the greed and listing agents taking advantage of it and keeping more money, etc., that I don't agree with. That's why my other post about this, I was enthusiastic because it will expose that and stop it. And I am an immigrant. I still have friends in England. I still know the struggles they go through having to refinance their house, just like people have to do in Canada every couple of years, making their payments go up, you know how much collateral they need. Most people need a co-signer for a first-time home buyer. It's that way in Italy too. Shout out to y'all.
Okay, so this one's like 6 minutes long, so I'm going to stop this right here, okay? I get the... I'm having a hard time grasping because it's always been that way, so it needs to stay that way concept. That's number one. And number two, the other thing that I hear often is, where are the buyers going to come up with the money to pay the agent? And this is our good friend Lisa. By the way, I just want to say Lisa Bruce Bender, Snohomish County City agent, amazing lady, Sound to Summit, right? We keep bringing her up because she's lovely, amazing.
We love you, Lisa.
I talked to her for over an hour, and one of the things that we sort of disagreed on was, if you can't afford the necessary fees that are involved with buying whatever, right? Then maybe you can't afford it yet. Because everybody seems to make this argument like, well, what about the first time home? Maybe they just need to save more. Am I mean? I don't know. Maybe. And let me say this too. So he said, we're the only country in the world that has a 30-year fixed mortgage. And he said that like it's a good thing.
Well, he said it like it was true. It's not.
Well, but also he said it like it's a good thing. But the way I look at it is almost like a mousetrap for people to just pay interest for 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, I need like a button that I can hit that like warns everybody that I'm about to hit on a soapbox. Maybe like it starts screaming, repent, come to the truth. I don't know. Like, there's a couple things. Let me bang. I keep muting myself because I'm typing and my keyboard's loud.
You're good.
Like, first off, hey man, no need to shade on Michael over there. Like, no ad hominem attacks required. You don't need to be like, maybe he's in it for the money. And what if he is?
Right.
What if he is? Okay,
right.
Okay. So, they do have seller paid buy side commissions in some places.
Okay.
They absolutely have zero down loans in some places. In fact, there's a lot of places in the world right now that are trying to attract people with like $1 houses. How about some of those in America? And all you got to do is put the money in to renovate it, and you can get a loan to renovate it at non-usurious rates, by the way, which I think our rates are a little bit usury. Like I think it's like 8%. Are we fucking kidding right now? Like, are you crazy? And the idea that the government is the right entity to fix mortgage product problem is how we got here in the first place. Remember, realtors, I just saw a quote the other day from somebody that says realtors last year were the number one donators
Holla.
to politicians.
Holla.
As far as a PAC goes. That's wild. Okay, so just getting that out of the way. There are other systems of doing this that work quite well. Australia has a very interesting system. A lot of people hate it, talking about it, at least here in America, but they actually do an auction type system where it's mostly there's a seller's agent, and you can ask questions, and there's a lot of verification that you do up front, and then they kind of do this bidding process. But the loan process is very transparent, and the process to close is very transparent and very straightforward. And I actually think buyers are more protected in that process than they are here.
Interesting.
And they don't do the auctions the way that we do it. We would do it here, like at the courthouse. He'd never even walked inside.
Right.
Okay, so his number one point is this: buyers couldn't afford it, and this was your question. In what world would we not allow it to be rolled into the loan? We've already done that. There was a point where the buy side and the sell side were not rolled into the loan. Like there was a point where, or just the buy side, there was a point where it wasn't rolled into the loan, and now it is. It is currently rolled into the loan. In what world do we not think that that's going to continue to happen? Like maybe in an extreme case, if we see a huge backslide of prices, a big one, maybe stuff starts to not appraise for that extra 2 to 3%, 1%, whatever it is. We got to find the right price. By the way, a lot of this is about finding the right price.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, maybe I'm a new first-time home buyer and I have 3%, man. That's a lot. But I can understand putting $5,000 on my $150,000 mortgage to pay for your services. You help me find it. You help me get after it and get it and write the contract, and you protected me and you walked me through everything and you held my hand. Yeah, is that worth that? Maybe it's not worth all this other stuff, though. Maybe it's not worth 3%. That's my call out. Okay, here's the soapbox moment. If all of that wasn't soapbox, believe it or not. Oh, one more thing. You weren't able to pass on that benefit, my guy, because you got all this equity and you're such a good dude. You got to pass on that benefit for 2 words, price fixing, which is what NAR just got nailed to the wall for in a matter of hours of deliberation from a jury of our peers. I am sorry they weren't all realtors and loan officers. Okay, now here's the soapbox. Real estate agents are not charity. For all of you who think that real estate agents need charity, that we need to keep it the same so that we don't lose our money, stop. Get out of the industry. Not gonna make it, my guys. I'm sorry. You need to start understanding what value you bring. There is a world in which 3% is the right value that you can bring to a transaction. That world exists.
Yes,
Most agents do not bring that value. So it's up to you to prove that value and have the skills to have that value. And by the way, let's not pretend like real estate's not going to get a lot easier if 50% of the buyer's agents drop out of the game. It's going to get, that's easy mode. That's easy mode. There were just over 4 million transactions this last year. That's what we're on track for. Mm-hmm. There are over 1 million NAR
1.6.
agents. Let's just call it 1 million. That's 8 sides
4
per agent. Okay, guys, gals, team, please. You are not a charity case. You do not have to fear telling people you have value. You do need to work for it. You need to demonstrate it. You need to be professional. You need to sell your value. You need all of those things. But you do not need charity to get this done. So passing on because I was able to have equity is a crazy take. That is not why. You were able to pass on that equity to a buyer's agent because it was required by NAR, which is why they just lost the lawsuit. And
by the way,
they will lose it in 49 more states.
By the way, what's with this? He's coming for 100 billion more from realtors. Like, we're not losing any money.
No, it ain't real tours.
Right.
It's real tour.
Real tour. It's just a singular.
Real specific.
That's right.
Singular.
That's right. All right, let's continue here. Now,
oh, you're muted. Oh. I can't hear you. I can't hear nothing. Can you hear me? I'll be back. Oh, shoot. Can you hear me now? Shoot.
wishy-washy. And I don't think you guys truly understand how good we have it here and the narratives that are being pushed.
But you can't hear me. Testing.
All right, I'm back.
Hey, there you go. Can you hear me now?
I don't know what in the world just happened, but I just switched over to the laptop audio.
Okay. It doesn't sound bad at all.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
All right, cool. So let's all right, let's not watch the rest of that. By the way, what I was saying was he says a lot of things that I have a lot of respect for. So I was gonna reach out to him and see like if he wants to like join us.
Oh,
and I still might.
Great.
might.
That'd be great. Listen, I think he's right there. Like we actually probably agree on a whole lot more. Especially, it sounds like he's interested in crushing some of the corruption, which there is definitely a lot of. But
yes.
I think there might be some good conversations around. Listen, like
100%. I'll DM him for sure.
I'm down. Maybe
All right,
don't
here we
show him
go.
the video of me ranting
Yep.
beforehand.
All right. Oh, okay. This guy, I like this gentleman too.
Okay, let's hear it.
Lawsuits. And if you don't know, the National Association of Realtors got sued in 2019, a class action lawsuit regarding their practices of real estate commissions. On top of that, top major franchises like Keller Williams, Berkshire Hathaway, Anywhere, Remax, all these big companies were included in the lawsuit. And just the other day, a federal jury sided with the plaintiffs and awarded them over $5 billion. So the hate for real estate agents has been nonstop since then. But I'm going to give you the truth here on what this actually means and what's really happening behind the scenes. I own a small real estate company here in New Jersey, and I've been helping people buy, sell, and invest in real estate for over 15 years now. I got in this business at 19 years old, right as the market was crashing in 2008. So I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I've lived and breathed this industry for the last 15 years. You see, the way the current system works for how commissions work is what's best for the consumer. And let me tell you why. And before you come at me, I want you to hear me out. Here's how commissions work now. When you go to buy your first home, the seller of that house, who might have bought the house for $300,000 and now it's worth $500,000, they pay a listing brokerage a commission that is negotiated between the listing brokerage and the seller. That could be 3%, it could be 0%, it could be $500, it could be 4%, it could be 5%, it could be 6%, it could be anything. The industry average right now, the average commission is somewhere between 4.5% and 5%. So let's just take 5%. The seller agrees to pay, out of the equity that they've gained, a commission of 5% to the listing brokerage. The listing brokerage then belongs to NAR run MLSs, puts the listing on the MLS for all agents in that MLS and that are licensed through the state are able to show that house and see it in the MLS. Now, when you go to buy the house, you typically work with a buyer's agent. That selling agent, the seller's agent, the listing agent, has the ability to share a portion of that commission. So if it's 5%, typically what's happened is they've shared half of it. 2.5% goes to the listing agent, 2.5% goes to the buyer's agent. And what this lawsuit alleged is that there was very high-level conspiracy to keep commissions that high. And yes, the jury did award them. The plaintiffs will see what the judge rules, and if he removes the ability for a seller's agent to offer out a commission to a buyer's agent from a commission. If the judge rules that no longer a seller can then pay a seller's agent to offer out a commission to a buyer's agent, one of two things is going to happen. And both are horrible for the consumer. Number one is the buyer's agent's going to disappear. There'll be far less agents. I know that, if you're a typical real estate hater, you will love that. You will love that so many real estate agents are going to be out of business. That's fine. I don't disagree that there are far too many agents for the amount of sales that are needed. However, when you realize how NAR, MLSs all make their money, it's from high agent count. So they want more agents to pay more dues. I don't disagree that there should be less agents. However, for you, the consumer, now you are going to have to choose. Either I am going to pay, because I legally won't be allowed to have the proceeds come from the sale. I will have to pay my buyer's agent directly if I want one. So I will have to pay that 2.5%. So if you're buying a $500,000 home, you're going to have to bring, on top of closing costs, on top of down payment, you're going to have to bring an extra $12,500 to pay your agent. So most will not do that. They will go direct to the listing agent. Let me share with you where that's very normal practice. Europe, Australia, and many other parts of the world. Have you ever heard of the Australian dream? Have you ever heard of the Italian dream? I have family in other countries. Many of them do not own homes. Many of them, when they retire, they live 100% off the government. Almost all of those societies are socialized societies, and no one creates wealth for themselves. And if you have to go direct to the listing agent now, let me show what that experience is. Hi, I'm a listing agent. I'll still be in business because I list plenty of homes. My company lists plenty of homes. That's what we've always geared our business towards because that's the better side of the business. It's always lasting more than the buyer side. However, if you are going to buy a house, now I will list the house, and now you and the 7 other people that are competing for it are all going to have to put your offers in through me. And I want to ask you a very simple question. How the hell do you expect one listing agent, one listing brokerage, to therefore be able to represent 7 to 10 to 15 to 20 different parties all fairly? In 8 states, you're not even allowed to have dual agency. So who is going to represent you? No one. So when no one represents you, and or you have this exuberant cost on top of buying and your closing costs, less people are going to become owners. This may sound like a conspiracy to you guys. However, I'm sure you've heard corporate home buying, build to rent, the reason the home prices have not been affected by high interest rates. This is all part of an agenda, guys. It's all part of an agenda to remove home ownership from Americans, especially those that are younger in age. Take out the starter home, raise interest rates to a point where most people can't afford it other than corporations, and now add on huge costs and or make it more difficult and a more stressful process, and boom, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
I mean, listen, he got some bars. You know, the problem with some of them bars, though, is they sounded similar to some other bars I heard.
I mean, okay. So first of all, I believe he's on the right track. It's just that some of the arguments are just kind of like out there. Not to mention that last part. Like, I love conspiracy theories. There might be some truth to that, right? So where he sort of contradicted himself was, so he just said, how is one listing agent and one brokerage going to deal with like 7, 8, 9 different offers? Wait. I thought if you stop offering buyer agent commission, you're not going to get multiple offers. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the whole purpose of it,
I'm
the whole purpose of the commission, the original
I'm just
purpose
saying.
is gone.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, listen. I mean, a couple things. Took a couple notes. The first off the bat is this: we can't possibly know that this is the best system, and that was actually one of the arguments that was made by the defendants in the case, was that this is the best for consumers. Impossible to prove, and completely besides the point, because they didn't go after them because they were price fixing specifically at 6%. They went after them for anti-competition. They went after them for collusion. They went after them for all of these things that are clear as day. If you look at the way the system's set up, you have to be a part of NAR, and therefore you're forced to offer a cooperating commission. Period. And that's all that had to be proved. I mean, and there's more to it than that. There's definitely more context to it than that. But like at the end of the day, that's the point. And this whole, well, it's always been done this way, good old boy act is wearing thin. You know,
Hey, Lucas,
he kind of said
question for
there's
you.
two things that are going to happen. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Question for you. You know how, so again, going back to Washington, like we adapted that whole, you can offer $500 if you wanted to. Like that was like several years back. Are you telling me other states, they can't do that?
So no, nobody's ever written a number down. Nobody's ever written a number down. It's just known, and you can have complaints filed against you too, like, and people can make it hard for you, and all of a sudden agents aren't showing up to your listing because you're offering less.
So it's like this unspoken.
Yeah, because the buyers might still bring the listing, but then the agent is the one who has to take them out to it. And it's not unspoken though. All the jurors had to do was go read lab coat agents for 30 minutes.
Real estate.
This is the biggest secret, non-secret in the history of secrets.
Right.
Listen, he's buying into the marketing. That whole, there's no Australian dream, there's no Italian dream, there's no guy. There's no American dream either. Like, I know we talk about the American dream, a house and 2.5 kids and a white picket fence. That is not the case for 80% of Americans.
Right.
Okay, like, we are a nation with a shrinking middle class. You want to know why that dream's going away? It is not because of housing. That's a piece of it, for sure. I just read, I'm going to read, I got to figure out how to actually say this, the Kobayashi letter on Twitter.
Kobayashi, like it differs.
Kobayashi Maru, like from Star Trek. That's
Yep.
what I always want to say. Listen, let me just read this to you really quickly. Personal savings rates, and this is from, I think, just earlier today. Personal savings rates are near their lowest levels on record at 4%. Meanwhile, $2 trillion in excess savings from the pandemic-era stimulus have been completely depleted. All while total credit card debt just hit a record of $1.08 trillion. Things are costing more, people have less money, and they're going into more debt. The American dream is not just a house. It's security. It's living in a free society. It's living in a capitalistic, non-controlled, competitive society that the National Association of Realtors was in clear violation of, according to a jury of their peers and a judge. So, we got to stop complaining that, like, oh, this is the best, whatever. It doesn't matter. It was wrong. And there's a reason they couldn't get those laws changed. Right? Or they would have, years ago, gotten those laws changed. Okay. And this whole, I really hate to see people denigrating other countries like that. Like, America's just the best for buying houses and raising a family. And Like that's a really strange thing to me to say that nobody in England or Ireland or Ukraine or Spain is capitalistic in nature. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, man? I don't get it. Like the superiority that we just put on the heirs for. I've met plenty of people from other countries as real estate agents at REMAX National Conference, at NAR's conferences, at Inman's, and none of them would go, "Oh, I'd rather have the American system." I've never heard one of them say that. Right, and I just think we're stuck. This is how it's been for the longest time, and I think we're scared. But like that's buying into the marketing. And as far as his conspiracy theory, yeah, Klaus, whatever that guy's name is, Klaus Schwab, or that's something like that. The International Monetary Fund, creepy ass guy. Yeah, he did say people will own nothing and they'll like it, and that trips all my conspiracy theory meters. But, as a part of an institutional buyer, at least at my level, I don't see any ill intent. If you look around the country, single-family investment companies own less than 5% in every market except for Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Now, investors may own way more of the housing stock in these markets. You've got apartment buildings. And if you take those out, it's still a pretty high percentage of investors that own single family. It can be up to 15 to 20%. But a lot of those are small investors. These are the millionaires next door. They're real estate agents.
They are real estate agents.
They're real estate agents. Yep. But single family investment firms, like, and it may have changed over the last 18 months since the last time I saw the numbers. But Atlanta was the only market in which more than 5% of the homes were owned by some huge single-family investment company.
Right.
It's just not. And my bigger concern, if I was really getting concerned, would be the people who own the loans. The people who are starting to think 40-year and 50-year loans sound like a really good idea. These type of things really stresses my soul.
There's a common theme in everything we've seen so far, which is like, home ownership for the consumer, but is it though? Like, it's not really our home until our mortgages are paid off.
Right? Yeah, not to quote Dave Ramsey on purpose, but he says on a regular, actually he's quoting the Bible, I think, so I can quote this and not feel bad. But the debtor is a slave to
That was literally the sermon last Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. As somebody who carries some debt right now in their life, it's absolutely true. It weighs on me. Right. Like thinking about it, right?
And it's leverage you're giving up to whoever. Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, debt can be a fantastic, and this is why I disagree with Dave, debt can be a fantastic tool to grow a business.
Right.
Debt can be a fantastic tool used wisely and appropriately. So, the last thing, he made it like it was a binary option. There's going to be agents that you have to pay, or there's not going to be agents. If I was a real estate company right now, if I was a brokerage, or not a brokerage, but a large team, let's say I'm Gary Ashton out in Tennessee, Nashville. Dude's got the largest REMAX in the country. He owns Nashville. Mm-hmm. Him and Mark Spain. Mark Spain's face is all over the place now.
Wait, I thought the largest REMAX was in California.
It's individual team.
Individual team.
Gary Ashton, fantastic dude. Have had a couple beers with him, and if I was him, I would get my core team members, because he kind of just runs it like a brokerage, like within a brokerage. But if I was him, I would get my core team members that I do pass leads out to, and they do my deals and all of that. And I would go, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come out and say, in light of NAR's recent defeat, we are no longer going to force our sellers to offer a seller commission. We will work with buyer's agents whose clients want to roll that into the loan. But if you don't have a buyer's agent or don't feel that you can appropriately compensate them or won't qualify for the loan if you have to roll it in, we will offer you a buyer's agent for free. It will be dual agency within the brokerage. Now, obviously, you're not going to say all this. Like, you're going to find a great marketing way to say this. But this is what I pitch to my people. We're going to offer a buyer's agent for free that's going to represent you. And these two, they might be on the same team, but they are not like other people are going to be submitting offers too. And you're not going to have any advantage as much as we possibly can, besides the trust that we have in there's an advantage there to working with somebody you know. I've won deals in the past just because the agent knew me.
Right.
Totally fair. That's what I would do. If you're so worried about the buyer, listen, dude said it, and dude is right. There's going to be less agents. There's going to be more deals. And so that's what I would do. I would be a loss leader.
So we've got a comment. Can't roll it into a VA. Jonathan Benya, he's a pretty kick-ass agent over in Maryland, and he's joining us. And actually, he said he's willing to hop in with us next week.
Sick. Let's go.
I think. Okay, here's what we're gonna try to do next week. We'll bring Jonathan on, and I'll reach out to a couple of my lender friends, and let's just like actually have like an open discussion on what this could be or what this might not be, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, and again, like it's all fun and games for us to react to these videos and things. Again, shout out to all the agents who are doing the content. You are the ones that are going to survive, okay? Now, granted, we might not disagree with some of the things you're saying. It's okay, right? But it's not a blatant false information. It's just a lot of it is just opinion, right? No one really said anything that is blatantly
It's perspective.
wrong. Perspective.
Yeah, it's perspective.
Correct.
And we have different perspectives. A call out to your comment there, brother. I just saw it. You can't roll into a VA loan. It's already rolled into the VA loan. Like the buy side commission is already rolled into it. Now, could we put it as an extra fee on top and put that on the HUD in like a new way?
Itemized.
Yeah. I don't know how that's going to work. It would have to probably still come from the seller side, and that would have to be written into the contract. Now, is the VA going to crack down on that? Man, I doubt that they would crack down on that. But you're right. You can't roll extra fees into a VA loan, and there's or USDA loans or FHA loans. Like, that's absolutely true. But I mean, like a call out here, you can see you can get the seller to pay additional. There's different rules on the FHA loan than there is on a conventional loan, and there's no reason to see that we wouldn't see new rules coming out for this. Might take a couple of years.
100%. I mean, let's face the reality. The reality is, if this actually blows up nationally to a point where, like, offering buyer's agent commission actually like becomes not legal, right? There has to be the lending industry, escrow, whatever other industry that's out there. There's gonna be adjustments. And it's not a overnight thing. So all of this past hour and last week and all of this just to say, just keep doing your business. Right?
That was the soapbox I was on earlier.
That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, that was the soapbox I was on earlier.
Hey, just keep doing what you do. Go out there and serve your community. Go out there and serve your customers, right? Do the content. Make sure you're out there. Make sure you know your community in and out, right? Be omnipresent. That's the best you can do. Here's what I will tell you. In the last 18 to 24 months, the size of the pie sure as hell gotten small, right? In the next 18 to 24 months, the number of people that are going after the pie is going to shrink dramatically. So if I were you, double down on marketing, double down on content, stay in front of your people. Size of your database matters. There's a direct correlation to size of your database to how much business you do. Stay in front of them, be relevant, be omnipresent. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm dropping fire.
Listen, and I will buy your tinfoil hat, my friend. I'm into it. I love a good conspiracy theory.
So I'm looking at our Facebook group, and his name will show. Jonathan has a great YouTube channel in Maryland. And that's kind of how I found him. But I mean, it's stuff like that that's going to allow for you to be relevant, be able to make a dent in your community, and you can really stand out as the go-to person that knows the community the best.
Of course. And that's just a great way to entree into providing value.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, let's see this next one. Let's see it.
You want to do one more?
Do one more.
All right, we're having too much fun, huh? All right, let's see. I'm gonna just go random.
That seems dangerous. Let's do
this
somebody
one
new
out.
if we got somebody new.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, let's see here. Wait a minute. Why am I holding onto this mic when it's not even working?
Oh, it's James
Oh
over
my
here
gosh.
faking it.
Wow.
Faking it till he makes it.
I just realized that.
The Keller Williams way. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love a lot
Okay,
of
here we
Keller
go.
Williams people.
Here's one. All right, here we go. Oh, this one comes.
This guy looks a little bit like Casey Neistat.
Yo, this one comes with music. All right, hold on.
I'm
Here we
in. Let's go.
And I just saw the lawsuit against NAR, and I'm just seeing people roasting realtors constantly in the comments. It seems to be a growing thing. Not really sure why. If you think realtor commissions are too high, you obviously have never worked under a brokerage that takes a percentage of everything you make. Never paid the fees, never had to do the continuing education. And the worst part, never worked for clients for free. Never showed a client 30 homes that decided to stay in an apartment or not even sell the house that they're in. The amount of work that we do on a lot of clients is an absolute nightmare, and sometimes you don't even get paid for those clients. So just because you did a real estate transaction and maybe you were an amazing client and you found the house on Zillow and then went out and saw 3 homes, made a decision and went in and asking and told your realtor, we'll pay for title and whatever, and everything was easy, means you're the ideal client. It doesn't mean realtors are overpaid. It means you're just a really, really good client. But we have lots and lots and lots of bad ones that we don't get paid for. So if the job's that easy and you think it's the best thing in the world and they're overpaid and they don't do anything and we don't need them and they just sit around and collect checks, I challenge you to invest in yourself and get a real estate license. And I can assure you, you'll be back at a regular job within 8 months, because it's very, very hard to succeed. It's a lot of stress. There is no base pay. And I think realtors deserve a little bit more respect from people. I'm not really sure why they're under attack, especially from people that are buying a home. You don't even have to pay the realtor fees, and you guys are complaining about it in the comments. Show them a little respect. If you want to bitch at somebody, bitch at the bank. Because if you finance $350K, you're going to pay an extra $540,000 in interest.
Ooh,
So
mic drop.
be mad at the
bro.
banks, be mad at the government, but leave your local realtor alone.
Ooh.
Thanks.
Dude, was he in a golf cart right there?
I think he was like in Monaco or something.
Like,
some
whatever.
F1.
These headphones were fire too.
What?
Listen, yeah, bitch at the bank. I'm in, and I love that he hit the number out there too of like interest that would be paid on a loan right now. Listen, man. Here's a couple of things. I have a huge problem with our current model of brokerages taking so much. And the reason I have a huge problem with it is that they're incentivized just to flood the market with a lot of inexperienced agents that are going to do 6 deals a year. Because once you cap, you don't make a brokerage much money.
Right.
At Remax Northwest, what did? We did 97.3 after 21.5.
Yep.
Well, shit. That's like 4 homes, 3 homes. I've capped. So at the end of the day, does the owner really want me to sell 20 more homes, or does he want 5 more people to sell 20 more homes?
Right.
Now, good owners, which there are plenty, want you to succeed. But the fact is, there is the wrong kind of incentivization happening in this industry for franchisees. And it's not even their fault either, because the franchisors up at corporate are propagating this as well. Having a Keller Williams on every block, having a Remax in every town, having this, like like this kind of, like the average Remax, at least when I was there, had like 8 agents. You can't make money with 8 agents. You're competing against your agents.
I have a conspiracy theory.
Hit me.
First of all, that gentleman, shout out to you, Jeremiah, because you made that TikTok video not knowing that the music you chose was only a minute, but you spoke longer than a minute. Music was slightly loud, but it's okay because we enjoyed it, okay? Here's the conspiracy
It also
theory.
hit at the right moment, too.
Yes. Now, NAR, I believe, in its origination, was for the consumers.
Yeah.
And
it was in their charter.
Just like any other organization that gets way too greedy with stuff, it went from being for consumer and then turned over to being for brokerage owners, for the big corporation brokerage places, and then all about headcounts. Because same thing with brokerage and getting the cap. How does NAR make money? It's per head. Doesn't matter if the head sells 20 homes or 2 homes. They still get to charge $800 some a year.
Yeah.
So it became more about how do we get more people licensed? Hence, let's just make the process super easy. Right? My guy gave it a call out, like go get a real estate license, as if it's hard to do. Right? Now,
sorry, Jeremiah.
Now, Jeremiah, with all due respect, it is not a hard thing to do. Now, is it hard to succeed? Yes. But get licensed? No. But that's what NAR wants you to do, because then you end up in one of these places that require you to be part of NAR, right? And then now you're on the hook for $850 a year.
Yeah, listen. You're right. Is that Jonathan who just made that comment? I can't see on my screen.
It's Jonathan.
So that's a good question. I don't know that there's like a perfect answer to the brokerage problem at this time. Like there are plenty of no cap brokerages who do struggle to retain top producers because they're going to keep getting charged. Remax back in the day, was the 100% desk fee. But that doesn't really solve the problem at the agent level of, well, they just want more people to come through the door. They want more people under their brokerage. But I think that's probably better than the way that we incentivize it right now.
Right.
There's not a clear-cut way to fix this, but there are disincentives to,
and dude,
to limiting the amount of people who come in this industry willy-nilly.
And I don't want to sound like hating on people who are trying to make money. It's not that. I'm all for being successful real estate agent, but let's do it while actually do. So could you imagine if 80% of doctors were not good at their job, but then they got paid just the same amount as the top 20%?
Yeah, right? Plastic surgery would be a way more sketchy.
I mean, why can't brokerages invest more in agent training? Why can't there be like policies that says, look, until you do, X number of transactions, like you need a mentor or you need to have more things in place so that you can get electricians have to spend like 3 years or something as a apprentice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why is it that our industry is the one that you feel like you can just jump right into it?
So some states make that a requirement, right? Enhanced supervision. I see some brokerages.
I think Washington is one of them too, but what does that exactly mean?
Yeah. Reading a lot of contracts as a managing broker,
right?
One of the things that like Coldwell Banker Bain does, or at least the ones that I'm familiar with, is they actually do that. They require you to like get a mentor, and you're going to split some of your deal off. And I've always thought,
check that out.
That's cool.
Whoops, I'll do that next time.
I've always thought that was like a great idea. I don't necessarily want the government mandating anything extra if they don't have to, But right now, because there's one game in town, and I think this is, by the way, the biggest call out. Because there's one game in town, it's NAR. There's no experimentation to find what's actually best, not just for the consumer, but for the agent. Realtor is not for agents. It is for brokerages and broker franchises.
Yep.
It is not about the agent. If it was about the agent, they would raise standards.
Right.
Because what he said is very true. You won't be doing this in 8 months. That's true. 80% of people never renew their license.
Yep.
And only 8% of people renew it twice. That's a wildly small number.
Wait, really?
And I think it's indicative. So an additional 12% of people drop out at the second.
Oh, gotcha.
From that, original 100. I think it's very clear that it's not working, but that's not true. Plenty of companies are trying to fix it. I think EXP does a great job, and they're moving the right direction. I think many Keller Williams actually are doing a great job. I think massive brokerages like Redfin aren't doing the dumbest thing in the world by starting Redfin Max. Last thing I want to call out, and I just find this always interesting, would you work for free? And, my question is always this, and it's not a bad call out, right? Because a lot of agents do end up working for free. You only close half of your deals, or 60% or 70% or whatever of the people you work with, whatever your number is, hopefully much higher than 50%.
And he also mentioned, those buyers that you show 30 homes to and they don't pan out to be anything.
Yeah. Should I charge somebody for that though?
My sort of counter to that is, are they taking advantage of the buyer's agent because they know that there's nothing at stake for them, right? You know what I mean?
So that leads into my point, which was, if you have a buyer's agency agreement, there's nothing that says that you can't require a minimum fee post work.
Right.
And even though if you're never going to collect it, even just putting $500 on the line. The other thing, by the way, is you should absolutely be setting expectations with your buyers.
100%. And it goes both ways. Yeah. Right? And that buyer agency agreement, it literally is not enforceable, meaning any one party can walk away from it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's unilateral. Yeah.
I got several questions on this last couple of days, which is how do you present that, right? Because a lot of agents aren't used to doing it. I'm like, look, this is my way of setting down what I'm supposed to be doing for you. This form is for your protection. This form is so that you can make the judgment on if I'm living up to what I said I was going to do for you, right?
Yeah.
Now, vice versa. First of all, there's something wrong if you have to show somebody 30 homes. You either did not set the right expectation. You're just not. I don't know that you're doing your job efficiently if you have to show some. Just because they want to see it, it doesn't mean you just go, all right. Right?
Yeah, very early on in my real estate agent career, I was lucky enough, first of all, to go to Redfin as an agent for a while, and then after Redfin, I always had showing agents. Never, I showed enough homes my first year. I was like, I'm done. I hate this. And so I'd generally show the first couple of homes, but if they had 6 homes on their first tour, I would often have an agent meet me at the third house. Introduce them, walk them through the third house, and then we're going to come back together and we're going to talk about it. If ever somebody went out with one of my showing agents more than 3 times, of course, we're going to talk after each and every one of those. But if ever they went out more than 3 times, I'd do another sit down. Hey, let's go grab coffee. Let's talk through what's working, what's not. Where are you at? Also, I have this love-hate relationship with the idea of making buyers perform certain tasks. I would never not show a home to somebody or send one of my people to show a home to somebody if they're not pre-approved. I would still go show the home. Just it's whatever. It's one time. But we're going to set the expectation. Hey, we'll do 2 of these or 3 of these, but you got to get pre-approved. I know it's stressful. I know it's scary. I know I've known millionaires who stress about getting pre-approved. right? Like it's like this rejection. They're so fearful, and I get it because I've felt it too. With all that said, you just got to do it. We got to know where we stand. We got to know what we got to bring. And so you just make people do that, and you constantly set expectations. You shouldn't have to be showing people 30 homes. I would fire that client.
Either that, or I would kind of look in the mirror and go like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why does it take, it's either they weren't ready to begin with, right? There comes a point where after X number, either something's wrong with your process or you got to have that conversation. Exactly.
And if they're friends, just get Shawami.
Shawami.
I don't know how to actually say it.
Guess who taught me Shawami? Guess who taught me Shawami?
It's got to be Lisa.
Lisa Bender.
100%.
We love you, Lisa.
100%. Yeah. Listen, it's just tough for me. And I'm not even hating on what he said, Jeremiah, about it being free or free work. Yeah, I don't want to work for free either. I just don't know if charging the next person is the right way to do it. It's the same way I feel about hospitals overcharging for stuff because some people can't pay for it.
Right.
I don't feel good about that. I cut my finger once, went to the hospital to get stitches. They didn't even give me stitches. They gave me a Band-Aid and charged me $2,000. I was like, what the fuck we talking about? What? Take the finger back. You can actually just take the finger. I don't want to pay the bill. So I don't know, but so do we charge people? Is commission the right way to do it for buyer's agents? Or do we, actually work for free, do my thing that I said, and have buyer's agents on the listing agent team that, get paid by the listing agent?
There you go.
Well,
here is, again, at the end of the day, please keep doing what you do. Keep getting better. Keep being seen. Make a difference, right? So I'm sort of, I need a break from this whole NAR lawsuit thing, okay? So here's what we're going to do next week. Jonathan, we super appreciate you engaging with us today. So I'm going to send you an invite for you to be on with us next Tuesday, right? By the way, next Tuesday, I'm going to be in Miami. So we're all going to be on Eastern time, right? So I'm going to bring Jonathan on, who's a kick-ass YouTuber, right? And I'm also going to go ask my friend, Ryan Jones, who is he's a lender, but he's a master go high level guy. So he's a mortgage broker who generates leads for agents. Can you believe that? I'm going to ask him if he would like to join us. And let's talk about marketing. Let's talk about content. Let's talk about lead gen. Let's talk about some stuff that'll actually make us money.
I'm in, man. I'm in. Oh,
what's the question?
My stuff. Oh, it was just about the no cap brokerages.
Oh,
I just thought that was a really good question. If I was a large team, I wouldn't stay at a big brokerage either. They just don't provide enough value. Yes. And it's not to hate on them. Some of them really, really do provide quite a bit of value. But once I'm doing, $1 million of GCI,
right?
For my team of 8, I should have my own brokerage.
One last thing, because we're approaching, minute 90. Everybody bashed on that whole EXP model, and now the real model, calling it pyramid scheme and blah 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 blah, right? But I can tell you with 100% certainty, that model almost forces the people ahead of you to make sure that you are good at what you do.
Yeah, I get it though. People have especially in real estate, have a long-standing distrust of multi-level marketing, which at the end of the day, this looks like multi-level marketing. It's like that scene from The Office where Jim goes, "That's a pyramid." Yeah. And Michael goes, "It's not," and he just turns it the downstream. I get how people feel that way. I can't dismiss that that's what it looks like. I know that it's not that. Mm-hmm. If I were to start a brokerage, it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be that. I would try. I actually love, I just called out side real estate to Jonathan's question. which, you know, what they do is they run the back office for you. Like if I was to start a brokerage services company, that would be it.
Oh, I told you, Raintown Realty is with Side.
There you go.
Rob.
I mean,
Rob
you handle the marketing for them.
Yep.
You help them with business processing, outsourcing. So you do transaction management for them, and you help them do the back office. And they charge quite a bit of money for it, but it's actually cheaper than, you know,
right.
doing it. And the only big difference is now you're on your own. Like you have to be the big dog, and some people don't want that. Like I totally get it. Like if I was doing $1 million in GCI, maybe I would be like, well, you know, maybe I want somebody else to be accountable, not me. But yeah, I just couldn't imagine not running my own thing at that level.
Well,
Even
I'll
less,
tell you
like
what, bro.
500,000. Like,
we've got. So what are we on? Like number 6, number 7? Like, I'm so excited with what we're doing here because, again, like this is just real talk, right? Neither one of us have stake in this game directly, right? But we are still in the industry, so we know what's happening. And if whatever we say resonates with anybody out there, like that's all we're looking for. And we're gonna try to have some fun. And you know, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 90 minutes, and you know, whatever, right? So I'm super looking for next week because I think I'm actually gonna let's go back and do some marketing chat and make some good content.
let's talk about anything but NAR.
Yeah, so
like
we're
I
gonna
said,
take
I don't know if it got caught on the recording, but I was telling Jay earlier. I personally, I think this might be the end of NAR as in its current incarnation. I think real estate agents need a place, an organization to call their own to make a larger impact on the industry. And I don't think it's bad that real estate agents give money towards the government to influence, but I would love to see competing ideologies be able to be in the marketplace at the same time.
I saw a video. By the way, Jonathan, yes, it is very similar to Place. I don't know what Livian is, but Scythe is very similar to Place.
Yeah, Livian is like a Keller Williams partnership one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's similar.
I saw a video where somebody said, if NAR disappeared tomorrow, how is your business going to change the next day?
It's bars. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, it's we were just having a lot of fun with it, but at the end of the day, you do you, keep getting better, you know, love on your customers, love on your buyers and sellers, and just keep doing your thing. Next week we're done with NAR unless something crazy comes out. But next week let's focus on marketing, content marketing, lead gen. I'm gonna send invite to Jonathan over in Maryland, and then I'm gonna send an invite out to Ryan Jones, who I believe is in North Carolina. So let's go ahead and we'll wrap here. But then next week, man, I'm gonna be in Miami, bro.
Dude, I feel like I should just hop in the car and come down.
Dude, that would be.
I think it's only like an 8 or 9 hour drive, man.
Yeah, that would be so dope. But don't do that. We'll just have a lot of fun. Hopefully, my Airbnb is gonna have a good internet connection. But hopefully. I'll know by Monday afternoon.
Cool, dude. All right. Jonathan, thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah, Jonathan. We'll see you next week, my man. Peace out.
Guys.